I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. This is what actually makes sales feel like a full body yes once and for all. Hello and welcome to Full Body Yes Sales, the podcast where we show you how to make more sales than ever in your online business in a way that feels authentic, empowering, and feels completely aligned with how you want to do business. Let's dive into today's episode. Hello and welcome back to the Full Body Yes Sales podcast. Today, we are talking about the feminine approach to sales. So how to actually sell as a woman, what your natural strengths are in sales, and how to actually find these and utilize these and actually be more successful in sales because you're leaning into these things. Now, I love this topic so much because no one talks about it, right? The vast majority of what we hear online is very much that heavy marketing bro type advice of, cold DM, call people as many times as you can. And for a lot of us women, that just doesn't really resonate. It kind of feels a little bit icky and gross, so we don't want to do it. And then we tend to associate that with sales and think, oh, I just don't like sales. I don't like selling. I'm just gonna sit here and just wait for my ideal client to come to me. They're just gonna find me and I'm just gonna sit here and just wait for them. And then we don't get the sales we want, or we don't get consistent sales in our business, and we see less growth than the men perhaps do. So it's so important to actually talk about, what are our actual strengths that we can utilize in business, because as women, we have some things that the men just do not have that are so useful for sales, and honestly have been some of the biggest reasons why I've seen the success I have in my business and my clients as well, by actually leaning into these and not trying to sell like the marketing bros would tell you to sell, but actually sell utilizing the skills and the gifts and the natural talents that you already have already in you, already it's the way that you want to sell. And this is what actually makes sales feel like a full body yes, when you're selling in alignment with how you actually want to be selling, how it feels really natural for you, and it makes it feel so easy and just feels so simple as well. Now, what I love in particular about what we're talking about in today's episode is this isn't woo-woo stuff, right? If you've listened to any other episodes from me, I'm pretty strategic, right? I'm pretty logical, pretty tangible with things. And yes, as much as I love the spiritual side, and I think that's so helpful sometimes, this is not just a case of me saying, oh, just lean into your feminine and just the sales will flow, attraction marketing and all that. It's some very tangible things that actually you can realize that you have these gifts, actually lean more into them and stop trying to lean away from them towards the marketing bro tactics, for lack of a better word and phrase there, but actually lean into these things and actually see tangible success in your sales by just leaning into these things. So I'm going to go through a few of those things and what that can kind of look like, and hopefully some things will start to click for you. Actually, I do have this skill. I know that this is a talent of mine. I just haven't been leaning into it that much, and I haven't been utilizing that in sales because I never thought to actually utilize it in that way, because no one's ever told me to utilize that. No one's ever told me to lean into that or shown me how I can do that. So I'm going to give you a few examples of what that can look like, and then walk through how we can actually really lean into the feminine side essentially with sales and actually see a lot of very tangible success from this. Not just sales feeling really good, sales feeling like a full body yes, but also actually your income going up and your income being more consistent because you're crushing it with sales, because you're leaning into how you naturally do things. Now, the first thing I think we absolutely crush as women that just men do not have the same level of typically is intuition, right? We know and we can sense a lot of things around a conversation, around the actual words that are being said. And this can be so applicable to sales because you've kind of got to judge where someone's at, right? A lot of, things we'll see online are, okay, here are some scripts for how you can sell. Here's what you should say. Then they say this, then we say this back in response. And yes, scripts can be really amazing for kind of giving you an idea of the flow, an idea of where we want to take this, of what this should look like. And also, a lot of sales can be lost when it feels that robotic kind of script level, and it feels like someone's just saying the same thing that they say to everyone. They're just asking the same questions. They don't actually get us. They're not actually sensing, reading the room essentially. They're not sensing what we're really, where we're at right now, why, we do have some hesitations or why we're a bit unsure about buying, etc. But actually, you have a really good intuitive sense of these things. And this is so helpful because when you're on a sales call with someone, you can sense kind of what someone needs. You can know when someone is actually ready to buy through a sales conversation. You know when someone actually, doesn't really want you necessarily following up with them. You know when someone is saying, actually, you know what, I just have some hesitations, but I really want this and I kind of want you to discuss these with me, versus I don't want to discuss these, I just don't want to buy this right now, this doesn't work for my price point. Another skill you probably have that you're not utilizing in your sales is actually your empathy. And this is so important because obviously our ideal clients, they have certain pain points, they have certain problems which they're experiencing right now. And the more we can actually empathize with that and show that we truly understand, the more likely they are to work with us, right? They don't want to work with someone who just says, yeah, sure, I can fix that. Yeah, I can give you a solution for that. We can come in and do this. They want to work with someone who completely gets where they're at. They understand their problem uniquely. They understand how they're experiencing it. They understand how it's affecting them. They understand how deeply they're experiencing this problem. They want to work with that type of person who can actually understand those things. So actually showing that you really understand their pain points, actually diving into those and having those hard conversations and just really empathizing with them around that can be so powerful for really setting yourself apart and just showing that you really, really get them, you really understand them, and it gives them so much confidence then to actually make a decision to work with you and actually buy from you, because they can trust that you actually get their problem, you actually understand where they're at, and you actually really understand what they're looking for as well, just by empathizing with this. And the third one, and probably the best one to be honest, and literally this has been probably 50% of the reason why people say they want to work with me, is connection, of actually feeling like we have built a relationship. It doesn't just feel like a transaction. It doesn't just feel like I'm just another number. It feels like we've actually got a connection. We've actually got a relationship. You actually care about me more than just getting this sale. And that is so powerful because it means that people are actually going to be trusting you and actually going to be sticking around for more than just this one sale. They're going to be probably long-term clients for you there. So it's really powerful to actually prioritize that connection building and actually build relationships, because we as women do it so naturally. This just comes so easily to us. So instead of feeling like, okay, we need to be very professional and just stick to the sale and, just have that conversation around kind of the money and all those things, actually build a connection, actually build a relationship with that person, because that's so much more likely to firstly make you the sale in the first place. Especially as women, we want to buy from people we trust, people we have a connection with. And also it's so much more likely to keep them as a long-term client because they've got this relationship with you. Why are they going to go work with someone else when they've already got this relationship with you and they already really trust you on a much deeper level than anyone else who hasn't taken the time to build this relationship? So those are three really powerful strengths that you probably have which you're not utilizing in your sales process right now. So I want to give you some examples of how you can actually utilize this. What does this look like to bring this into your sales process, to actually lean more into this and actually make sales feel better, firstly, feel like a full body yes, and secondly, to help you actually make more income from this as a result. And one of the first things you can do really with the intuition side is really make sure you're understanding the client's needs. So this can be really powerful, of almost reading between the lines, as I said, of kind of picking apart what they said and kind of piecing them together and seeing, okay, what is actually going on here? When they say that they are, not feeling like they're making enough money, for example, your client, if you're helping them to grow their income and grow their wealth, if they feel like they're not making enough money, what's really going on there? Can you read between the lines? And maybe on another time when you spoke, they said about, feeling a lot of shame around holding money, etc. And kind of just reading between and putting things together. But this can be so powerful for just understanding their needs really deeply and actually being able to give them the best possible service and the best possible advice, essentially, of why this package, why does this, why would this be the ideal solution for working with you and for actually getting this result? Because you said these things, because I can really tell that you're needing this support. I can really tell this would be supportive for you, and actually leaning into those and giving advice as the professional and as the expert that you are. But really leaning into that intuition of actually, what do they need? What can we kind of pick up? What can we sense just from the conversation we've had, from the points that they keep coming back to, from what wasn't said but was maybe read between the lines? What can we pick up so we can actually make sure that we're just really meeting their needs and we're not feeling like we're needing to follow a sales script? We're actually more so just being curious and just seeing what's going on there and just leaning into, okay, actually this makes a lot of sense for you. This would be a good fit, or here's what we'd work on together based on everything you've told me and based on what I'm kind of picking up from this conversation. So leaning into that can be so powerful there. Now, secondly, with empathy as well, this can be so helpful for helping you to not just understand what the really practical needs of this client are, but actually understanding more of their internal and emotional and mindset needs as well, of not just, reading what's on the paper essentially and reading what they're saying to you of, I need help with growing my business. I want to grow my income. I want to reach this goal weight, for example, if you're a fitness coach, but not just reading the very practical things, but also what emotionally is going on there. What are they emotionally and mentally needing to work on? What's kind of underneath the surface? Because obviously, this is really what's probably led to those practical situations in the first place. And you actually taking the time to have those conversations, empathize, really dive deeper into their needs than, a man might do when they're having a sales call and they're very much looking at the practical level typically. But actually looking at those levels and kind of seeing what is going on underneath the surface and actually being able to support them in that as well. So building a really amazing client relationship because you're looking underneath the surface and we're actually able to say to them, here's how this can work in the program as well. Here's how we can support you in that mindset, that emotional area as well, because we know that that's where the big transformation is actually going to come. And this can be so much more helpful as well for tailoring your offers. Of if you're seeing that, someone's needing a lot more mindset support, for example, can we add in some extra calls for them? Would that be more helpful? Can we add in some extra support around the calls? We can actually tailor the offers so we're really creating a perfect fit for them. We're not trying to take them and fit their personal solution and their personal problems into a box, essentially, in a cookie cutter model. We can actually say, this would be really perfect for you because of these reasons. And I'm going to add in this as well, because I think this will really help with the mindset problems you mentioned, etc. But actually taking the time to figure out those things in the first place, because obviously, mindset and emotional struggles, which people are having, are typically below the surface. They're the things which are going to be last presenting, essentially. We're going to talk about, the very practical things first, then we'll go into those things. So it can be so helpful to actually dive that a little bit deeper and find out what is actually going on the mindset and emotional level as well. So we can see, is there any room to support them here? Is there anything they're needing support with here? Versus just settling almost on that very practical level and not kind of diving in any further there. And this is where that very feminine approach of kind of collaboration and kind of working together works really nicely. Of you're not then going into the sales call and trying to just sell them on a certain offer. You're going in, you're hearing their problems, you're hearing what they're looking for, you're hearing where they're at right now, and you're essentially prescribing them what you think is the best solution here and working with them to figure out what that is and find something which is a really good fit for them to help them. It's not just a let's fit you into this box, it's let's find the perfect solution for you. Okay, this will be great because of these reasons. This will really help you with this aspect of it will be so supportive for the mindset side, whatever that is. But it's really working with the client to actually find a solution, which again, you're so much more likely to actually make the sale by leaning into these feminine characteristics, because you're actually positioning it as a perfect offer, because it is a perfect offer for them, right? We've really taken the time to get to know them. We've taken the time to figure out what they're looking for, and we're presenting something which is a perfect fit for that and just explaining why that is a perfect fit for them right now, versus just saying, okay, here's the offer, here's how you can work with me. We're actually giving them something which feels like it was tailor-made to them, even if it wasn't, even if we've just added, some extra calls because they mentioned some mindset problems, for example. It can be so powerful, and that's what can make you really stand out amongst anyone else in your industry, because you've taken the time to really get to know them and develop essentially something which feels like a personalized offer for them. And then finally as well, storytelling. So when we talk about, how typically we love building relationships and we love connecting with people, and that's a really strong trait that we have as women naturally. Actually, storytelling is a big part of this, and kind of being able to communicate in stories and really show people kind of, problems and solutions in that specific way. And this again is so powerful. And coming back to what I said around, 50% of my clients tend to come from that connection side. The other 50%, whenever they mention why they decided to work with me, it's been because of my testimonials, because of almost the storytelling behind that and how I'm presenting my client results and talking through the stories of essentially how me and this client went from this to this and how we got this result together in X number of days, weeks, or months. And this is so powerful for actually really bringing their solution to life, essentially. It's showcasing to them, not just, I can can help you get this solution, but it's actually showing them, what does this look like? This looked like this for this person who was in a similar situation for you. We did this together. Then, 3 months later, she was in this place, for example. It really brings it to life and makes it feel very real. It really builds a lot of trust as well. So actually leaning more into as well the storytelling side and actually telling stories around your testimonials and around your results, not just saying, I helped someone have, as a business coach, for example, I helped someone have a 10K month. Actually, instead, it's so much more powerful to say, when we started working together, she was at 2K months and she was really struggling with consistent income. Then a few months later, we had built up some really consistent income. We'd added in a new offer in that was high ticket. She was selling that consistently, and then she had a 10K month. That is so much more powerful sharing that instead of just that final end result. Adding the storytelling adds so much more depth to it. And as well, if I'm speaking to the person who is sitting at 2K months right now, that shows them it's possible. They've seen a route where this has happened through working with me as well. So it's really easy for them to decide to work with me because they have the trust that it has happened for someone else and they can see what it could actually look like for them as well. It's painting a bit more of a picture of it being possible and not just a goal and a dream for them. And this can as well make the sales process feel like so much more of a conversation when we're actually having that sales conversation or that sales call together. It doesn't feel like we're pitching them. It feels like we are just having a conversation. It feels like we're just connecting. We're just seeing a little bit more about, what your needs are. We're asking questions, we're listening, we're diving into that. And then we're sharing our stories back, essentially. We're not sending back our pitch, essentially, of, this is why you should work with me. We're just saying, yeah, I had a client who was in a similar position. Here's what we did. Here's what it looked like after we finished working together. So all of these are so much more powerful than any other approach you could possibly take, honestly, for actually signing clients and actually getting results, because your ideal client is going to walk away from this sales conversation feeling really good, feeling really understood, seen, and heard, because we've actually taken the time to really dive into their problems, right? And actually look at what they're struggling with right now and really understand where they're at. They're also going to walk away feeling like we have a really perfect solution for them because we've shown them through that storytelling what that actually looks like. We've taken the time to actually work with them to find a solution, not just say, here is the solution, take it or leave it. We've worked with them to actually figure out what would be a really good fit. And overall, it just feels really good. It feels like a full body yes for you, and it feels like a full body yes for that ideal client too. And it makes it a really open space where they can actually feel safe to have those conversations around objections as well. If you've taken the time to really understand them, really ask questions, you really feel like you've connected with this person, then they're much more likely as well to share any objections that they have instead of just, masking it with a, I can't afford the price. They're actually more likely to have those discussions. So you can just openly have those conversations, which is really the situation that we want, but also they're just so much more likely to feel good about the conversation and also to decide to work with you because you've built this trust with them. And again, this is so powerful because it leads to long-term clients. I have many people who I've worked with for 2 years, 3 years, and I've only been in business for several years, but this is so powerful for actually building long-term clients, people who are going to stick with you, people who are going to want to continue working with you just because of how you've approached these conversations and just because of the stance and way that you've, had these conversations and connected with them and taken the time to really understand them, when a lot of people aren't doing that and a lot of people are just trying to skip to the sale as quick as possible. This is how you can actually make sales feel like a full body yes, feel so good for you and the other person on the other end as well, and actually tangibly make more income as a result. It's not the, feminine sales advice of just sit back and wait for the clients to come. It's actually, how can we make sales and actually take action, but in a way that literally just leans into how we naturally want to be having these conversations anyway and how we naturally want to be doing sales. So there you have it. That is the feminine approach to sales and some things you can actually start implementing today to actually lean more into this side in your business, make sales feel like more of a full body yes, and actually start getting better results as well from your sales and more consistent income. I hope this has been super helpful. If this has been a helpful episode for you, make sure you give this video a like, make sure you subscribe as well so you do not miss the next episode coming out next Monday. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.